Hi everybody, this is Dwayne with Lilleys Landing Resort and Marina. It is Saturday, December the 28th. We're going to do the one cast. It's probably 10:30 in the morning or so. They still got that 3 units of water running. It's not raining yet, but it's going to be raining pretty soon. So we're going to come out and do the one cast. They're calling for some storms this afternoon. It's kind of getting a little misty. The ceiling's dropping. It should be nice for fishing right now. I've had a couple of guide trips the past couple of days, and we've been doing really well dragging some little crankbaits that I custom paint. But the little crankbaits don't have to be custom painted, and so I want to show you how I've been doing that. I'll back up here just a little bit. I've got that snap swivel, slides up and down some 6-pound test line that's on the reel, spooled on the reel. And then on that snap swivel I have hooked an 1/8 ounce bell weight. A barrel swivel stops that snap swivel from coming all the way down to the lure. Then I got about 30 inches of line, and this is a Rapala original F5 lure. That is just about the right size of the lures that I've been dragging and doing very well on. That's a floating lure, so it might take 3/16 ounce weight to get it down to the bottom. But we're going to start with an 1/8 ounce. And there's the packaging for that Rapala F5. Just wanted to show you that. And I've got it on a bait caster, so this would be kind of tough to cast. So when I fish this, I'll just push the button and drop it down in the water and let it sink back behind the boat. So that's one of the ways that we've been catching a lot of fish, and it's been working very well. I'll hook this back up, and I want to show you a couple of other things that have been catching fish out here. And we're going to try a few of these today. I'm probably going to start dragging that Rapala right there. But I want to show you a few other lures just to give you an idea of kind of the size and colorings that I've been dragging. Most of these lures don't have a big bill on them. That's one of my custom painted ones right there. Painted like a rainbow trout. It's about 3 inches long. And then this is another good sized lure also. About 2 3/4 inches long, floating lure, just white. So anything small like that, as far as a crankbait, shallow diver, will work good for dragging these, and they've been picking up a lot of fish. On the way up here, I boated past a gentleman that actually started dragging crankbaits yesterday, and he did very well. And I stopped and talked to him this morning on the way up, and he said he just released a 22-incher, and he's dragging the little 606 series, like that rainbow trout one that I paint, but we sell them in the shop pre-painted. And I think they're $5 or $6 a piece. And he said he's been doing very well on that this morning. So another way we've been catching the fish, and the Scuds, they've been kind of hit and miss, but I've got the same drag system on them. And the reason I use that snap swivel to hold the weight is I can change the weights out real quick and easy. And also with the crankbait, Phil was trying it the other day, it was getting twisted up with a drift rig. So having that weight up on a snap swivel and not hanging down will keep it from twisting up quite as much. So I got the same deal here for a Scud rig, and it's a double drift rig. I got 2 Scuds on there, but I've got the snap swivel again, and this is all 4-pound test. I've got a 3/16 ounce weight on this one to get those Scuds down and make sure they're on the bottom. Those crankbaits got a little bit of a bill, so that helps them dive and stay down there, so you don't need quite as much weight. Then I got about 4 feet of line, and halfway in between I've got a size 12 Scud, light gray one, and I tie that on with a super long tag in. Instead of cutting that tag in, I just tie another Scud onto it. So I leave a tag in about 24 inches, and I've got a medium gray Scud on there, size 12. And we'll try dragging that once we get down around past Andy's down there. So those are 2 of the major ways that I've been putting a lot of fish in the boat. in the mornings on my guide trips. Another fun way to fish, of course, Phil and I always fish jigs, so I've got a couple of rods set up with 16th ounce jigs. This one's sculpin and ginger, that one's sculpin and peach. But one of the ways I like to target the big fish, again, I personally fish with a jerkbaiting rod. This is a lure you can buy at a store. This is a Megabass 110 plus 2. And it's a fairly expensive lure, so it really hurts when you lose one of those. And that dives down to about 10 feet deep and suspends, and that's called their LG bone color. I don't think the color really matters that much. It's the action that you put into that lure. Keeping it moving fast and very erratic is kind of what draws the attention of those bigger fish, and kind of forcing them to make a decision of they need to eat it now or it's going to get away. The reason I started painting baits is because that's a $26 lure, and like I said, that hurts really bad to lose one. I can pick up blanks online, an unpainted lure blank that looks very similar to that for about $3 a piece, and painting them. Like I said, I don't think the color really matters that much, as long as you keep that thing moving fast and just have it kind of in some sort of a color range of something you'd see out in the wild, like a shad color, which is easy to paint, a white. I do another one that's I think I have one over here, yep. I call it a ghost shad. It's probably the simplest one that I paint. And it's basically a clear coat with some pearlescent in it, a yellow stripe, and some black highlights on the back to kind of give it a scale pattern. But that's one of those Megabass 110 plus 1 knockoff blanks that I get for $3 a piece. And that's why I started painting those, to try and save some money. But I got kind of fancy with some of my paint jobs, like that rainbow trout. They take me about 2.5 hours to paint. Some of the weights I'm using on the Scuds, that's the 3/16 ounce bass casting sinkers is what they're called by Eagle Claw. With the drift rig, I've got the 1/8 ounce bass casting sinker. And then Eagle Claw also makes the barrel swivels. One's got a safety snap on it. That's the one that slides up and down the line that I can change the weights out on. And that's just a plain barrel swivel. That is the link between the main line and the lure that stops the weight from sliding all the way to the lure. I just wanted to show you guys some of that stuff. I've got the boat on spot lock right now, so that's kind of why we're wiggling back and forth. We are just below Trophy Run. The end of Trophy Run is just right there. And Lookout Island is right behind us here. That's the top of Lookout Island. Back there about, 200, 250 yards. This has been a real good stretch on the inside through here, so we're going to start off trying here. I'm going to take the boat off spot lock and let us start drifting with the current, get us turned sideways a little bit, and we will see what happens. I'm going to use that Rapala F5 shad flavored. Like I said, I don't know if an 1/8 ounce is enough for this buoyant lure to get it down to the bottom, but we're going to try it. If not, we can twist that weight out real quick. When we get down around the corner, I'll throw a Scud out there, that double Scud rig, and start dragging that also. So up against the island across from Trophy Run has been a real good slot all the way down to Point Royale. We've been pulling a lot of fish out of here lately. So I won't be able to cast this very well, so I'm going to just kind of drop it down into the water. If we can get drifting fast enough here, we should be able to get down on some bottom. I got a little bit of wind pushing me up against it, so I might need a little more weight on there. Feeling some bottom out there. I'll get it out from the boat just a little bit. When you're dragging Scuds or anything like that, the wind blowing up against the current always slows your drift down just a little bit and can make it a little tougher. But usually somewhere out here you can find somewhere out of the wind around all these bluffs and bends and stuff. And down here just past Andy's house is usually a spot where you can typically get out of the wind. Alright, we're getting out there kind of far now. And you should feel this ticking along the bottom. And there it is, ticking the bottom. And with the crankbaits and the lures, because it's got that bill on it, it does dig the bottom a little harder than the Scuds do. So don't let that fool you when you switch over to back over to Scud fishing, dragging Scuds. On the Scuds, I like people setting the hook on just about everything they feel. Just because those fish might be biting them kind of light. And it doesn't hurt to pop that Scud up and out of the gravel real quick and let it drop back down. That's what they do in the wild anyway, when they get kicked out from underneath them rocks. Yeah, we've got a guy that's renting one of our John boats all week, and yesterday he came in and gave us a real good report that he started dragging that little 606 lure that we sell up in the shop, just like I am right now, and had a whole lot of fun, caught all kinds of fish on it. And I saw him back out here on the boat ride up. He was drifting through the Narrows and said he had just released a 22-inch rainbow that he had caught on one of them. He said he started the morning with 5 of those baits, and he's down to his last one, so he was going to drift back towards the resort and get some more. So like I said, you do go through some of them, losing them on the bottom, but losing a couple of lures to me is worth a 22-inch fish. Been picking up quite a few fish from about here down to the end of Lookout Island the last couple of days. So let's see if there's still some in here who want to eat a crankbait. I can feel that thing just kind of ticking along. So 1/8 ounce weight is just perfect for that F5 with 3 units of water running. Got up to 4 units, you probably have to go up to 3/16 on it. Pretty good breeze pushing up the lake right here. That's why I have to keep hitting the trolling motor to kind of keep the boat sideways. It's wanting to spin it around. Ooh, that felt fishy. It's another pretty good thump. Getting some good bottom action. This is a nice shallow shoal right through here in front of Lookout Island. It's a little more aggressive on the bottom. Another good place to drag these has been just above the Narrows, kind of right on the channel roll-off from the flats to the channel. As you're coming upstream, that would be on the left side of the Narrows. Been catching quite a few on these, dragging these crankbaits through that area also. And now it's starting to get a little deeper. Not ticking the bottom quite as much. Blake went out and drug these little crankbaits last night and said he did very well on them also. And he threw the big jerkbaits last night, the 110+1. So just before dark, he started picking up some fish on that. That's a very aggressive way to fish. If you're doing it right, it'll wear you out. It'll start getting to your back, between your shoulder blades. And I have completely come off the bottom right through there. There's getting a little soft ticks on the bottom. There we are again on the bottom. I like to keep my rod angled up just a little bit so I can see those bounces, and then it also helps prevent me from setting the hook way too much and pulling that lure too far through the water. As long as that rod tip is just kind of bouncing along, just pop, 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 every now and then, you're down there where you need to be. And come around this corner, this current likes to push you into the bluff and some really circulating water. And I like to be a little more over here towards the shallow side as we're coming down by Andy's house, Andy Williams. So I am going to pull us over that way a little bit. That lure has gone right back behind the boat over there in that current, so it's going to take it a while to get back out in front of the boat here. Kind of right on the seam of the back eddy and the current right now. Here's some people up there on Lookout Overlook. This is a pretty tough area because this current coming around the bend and tumbling up against the bluff. It's a real hard area to get on the bottom real good. Once you get down past that bend a little bit, you can typically get on the bottom a little bit better. I'm starting to touch it a little bit now. Ooh, I almost set the hook on that thump. That felt pretty good. Got a bald eagle up there on the bluff too. Up there just on the cloud line. Ooh, that felt pretty good. Alright, so we've drifted down past Andy's house. We'll keep this out here just a little bit longer and then I'll switch over to dragging a scud. Kind of quiet out here today. There were quite a few boats between the resort and Fall Creek, but there's really not much up here at all. Alright, we're back down on the bottom pretty good. pushing up the lake right through here. Alright, I'm going to bring this in. Need to check it about every 5 or 6 minutes or so if you haven't got a bite. Check it for moss, because it will dig the bottom, and it does have just a little bit of moss on it, but not bad. It shouldn't have deterred the fish from biting it. But we're going to pull out the Scud rig now, the double Scud rig, and just check to see if that's working. So nothing officially on the one cast. I did milk that for quite a long time, hoping something would happen, but nothing. Alright, so I got the double Scud rig, 2 size 12s, one's light gray, one's dark gray, on the spinning rod, all 4-pound test, so I can cast that back upstream. And that's got the 3/16 ounce sinker on it. I still have not there. I'm just starting to feel bottom on that. So that took 10-12 seconds to get down there. Like I said, when they are bouncing the scuds, it's not near as aggressive ticking on the bottom. So don't be afraid to set the hook on just about anything you feel that feels aggressive. Talked to Captain Steve Dickey yesterday after his guide trip, and he said he did real well on scuds later in the morning through here, and then even down below Fall Creek, down to Short Creek. We're coming down to the golf course, a few hundred yards above the Narrows. There's a little creek that dumps in here. Has a nice gravel bar comes out from it. And that's one of the areas I really like to fish the scuds, from there down through the Narrows. And we might try and choke up a little bit more towards the shallow side here in a minute. Got somebody trying to call me. Get some good bottom action through there. There's where the creek dumps in, right in front of the boat. Seems to be always a heron standing on a tree over there, same spot, every time I'm up here. So It must be a pretty good spot to fish. And I cannot believe we have not got a bite on the Scud yet. When I'm throwing the bigger jerk baits, I like to do that. The first hour of daylight is generally the best bite for that. And then I usually put that away and start dragging these Scuds or dragging those smaller crankbaits. Go just a little bit further down. I'm going to switch back over to that, dragging that crankbait. I snuck up a little bit shallower and still no bites up there, so we're going to go out to a little bit deeper water. See if we can't pick one up. Bottom, so I just pulled up on that and drop it back down and back on the bottom again. Might have been a fish. Bring it in and check it real quick. Get back out there for maybe another 7,500 yards. We'll switch back over to that. I've got a knot right there. No wonder I'm not catching nothing. That second line got twisted around the first one. All right, try this again. Alright, it's dragging the bottom again. And we're to the point where I want to get that other bait out. So I'm going to start dropping it out. Put that in a rod holder real quick. And once I get it out, I'll bring that Scuds back in. You see when you hold that rod in a holder real still, That rod tip will bounce quite a bit more when it's hitting the bottom. We'll let that go out a little bit. And we'll reel this in. Just above the narrows now. Set this over here out of the way for just a second. Alright, I'm digging bottom a little bit now. Perfect timing for the narrows. Back there just a little. That was a good thump. There's a couple of trees over here on the side of the narrows. Left side as you're coming up. And that current kind of pushes you right toward them, so you really got to pay attention that it's not going to push you into them. That is a pretty good line for this crankbait though. Oh, it was like a double thump there. Another pretty good thump. This is kind of an exciting way to fish, even when you're not catching fish. You feel that bottom thump so much. And we're going to drag this just a little bit further and call it an episode. Real good bottom action through here. All right, everybody, we have drifted about halfway through the trophy zone, about 1.5 miles, and not even a bite today. We sure do thank you all for watching, and we will try it again tomorrow.